So, how to make money in real estate in 2023. 2023 is going to provide some opportunities in the real estate market that we haven't seen the last few years. The last few years, the real estate market has blown up for a few reasons. Matt and I, we were on a podcast yesterday and we were talking to one of our guests and partners, Jason Ricks, about it. And there was a lot of things that came into play. There was a lot of demand from buyers. There was not a lot of sellers. There was a supply chain shortage that caused the price of building homes to go up, building anything to go up. We had a lot of inflation. We had a whole lot of factors that caused the real estate market to really jump up quite a bit. In June of 2020 to June of 2021, the median sales price in Austin jumped 41%. So that means if you bought a home in Austin in June of 2020, let's say for $200,000, by the time June 2021 came around, your property was now worth $282,000. It jumped up 41%. And you just made $82,000 in 1 year. Interest rates were at an all-time low. So debt was as cheap as it could possibly get. I think it is the lowest, or it was the lowest that it had been in around 80, 90 years or so. So interest rates has since risen. Middle of this year, 2022, interest rates started rising quite a bit. Today, at the end of 2022, they're sitting around 6.5%, 7.5%, but they got up to 8%, 8.1%, much higher than the 2.5% that they were at about a year ago. So as debt rose, people could afford less. Also, people started selling their homes more. They were afraid of this real estate market crash that was coming. Here in Austin, prices have gone down significantly. They've gone down, I wish I knew the percentage exactly from the height of the median sales price, but they've basically gone down to about March 2021 prices as of today. So this has presented new opportunities. So as interest rates have risen, it has presented an opportunity to buy deals via seller financing from people with interest rates around this bottom here versus getting an interest rate at this top here in the market from a bank today. So seller financing is one opportunity that is available now that wasn't available a year or so ago. Seller financing was available a year or so ago, but you likely could have gotten a better interest rate just going to the bank directly and getting a loan from them as opposed to the seller financing you the property. Another one is assuming interest rates, assuming loans. So if you are able to go and assume one of these loans that the seller got or the homeowner got back when interest rates were down at the all-time lows, then that is a good opportunity for you to lock in one of those rates, buy a property, assume the loan, and start making payments on a 2.5%, 3.5% interest rate versus the 7.5 to 9% interest rate you might get today. You'll have a significantly lower payment. So these are two opportunities. Also as well, a year ago, there was not that much motivation from sellers. So sellers knew they were sitting on gold. They knew that there was an influx of buyers in the market. They knew that the buyers were willing to pay whatever price they could, most importantly because they were able to get these low interest rates. So it almost didn't even matter what price they would pay, so long as the property would appraise, the bank would loan on the property, because their payment is still extremely low here with these low interest rates. And there were some buyers that were exiting places like California, New York. There was that big sickness that was going around the entire world, and some states had restrictions in place for businesses, for people, for just daily life, that people were max exodusing out of these northeastern states and out of California, and they were coming to places like Texas, like Florida, places where they didn't have these restrictions in place, and government would allow these people to do and the businesses to operate how they wanted to. And so these people were leaving expensive markets they were selling their homes here, and they were taking all this money from these expensive markets, and they were coming into markets such as Austin, Texas, or places in Florida where the home prices were significantly lower than they were in this house that they just sold in California, for example. And they were able to take all this cash. Say they had a 3-bedroom, 2,000 square foot home in California, and they might have sold it there for $2 million. Well, that same house in a good location in Austin, Texas, maybe only cost them $450,000. So they were able to take all this money, put it here, and if they had to overbid on a property in Austin by, let's say, $50,000, $100,000, it almost didn't really matter to them that they were paying that much more for a house, because they just left the same house that cost $2 million. They pay $550,000 over ask here in Austin, and they're getting a loan from the bank at this low interest rate. So sellers, the person who was going to get on this house here in Austin last year for $450,000, they probably got 20 to 30 offers on this house. There was not much inventory listed. There weren't a lot of houses for sale, and there was a tremendous amount of buyers with a lot of money that were able to come in and bid on these houses. So this seller last year, for this house right here, he probably got 20 to 30 offers on this house within the first week. There were showings on properties for open houses and stuff, and there were hundreds of people lined up to go see one house, and one after one after one after one. So sometimes it was typical for a property to be on the market for less than a week. And if it started sitting on the market for 2 weeks and you didn't get an offer, something was really wrong. But a lot of properties were going off market. They were listing it, and then they're getting an offer signed and under contract within a few days. So these sellers, they didn't have a lot of motivation. They had a lot of buyers in line to buy their house. They were willing to pay whatever price they wanted to. And these sellers could pick and choose the best offer at the best price to sell their house. Well, that has changed. Now, coming into 2023, there's very few buyers in the market, much more fewer. So now properties that are listed at $450,000 in Austin, first of all, this probably isn't market price anymore. Not one person is coming in here going to make an offer on this house and offer $50,000 more than it's listed, unless it's just severely priced below market. But this property is probably going to sit on the market for 45 to 75 days. Much different than the 3 days that it was last year. Also, this person's probably not going to sell for $450,000. They're likely going to get offers come in at maybe $420 when they do get an offer, maybe $410. It's possible they get an offer at $375. And they're going to get much fewer offers, and it's going to take a long time for those offers to come in. Also, buyers are asking for seller concessions. So since interest rates are 7.5%, 8%, this seller right here who's selling their house may even have to give $10,000, $15,000 at closing to this buyer so that they can buy down this interest rate, let's say to a 6% interest rate. They'll take this $15,000, they'll pay it to the lender, and it'll get their interest rate bought down to a lower interest rate. So the sellers are having their houses listed on the market much longer than they did last year, at least 15 to 25 times longer they're sitting on the market. Used to be a couple of days, now it's a couple of months. They're not going to sell at list price, almost guaranteed. And then also, they're likely going to have to pay for some closing costs. So they may pay for seller concessions here to the buyer to buy down their interest rate. They may agree to pay for the title policy. They may agree to pay for the new survey. They may agree to pay for whatever this buyer might request. A residential service contract for a home warranty. These sellers are also going to pay more costs that go to the buyer to help them buy this house. Now it's because there's less buyers in the market. There's many more sellers on the market. The Austin market went from about 2.5 months of inventory on the market to now, I think we're at like 5.5 months of inventory. So we've more than doubled. We 2x the amount of available properties for somebody to buy. There's way less buyers in the market because they're not getting these interest rates at 2.5%. They're now at this 8%. And these sellers are not going to be able to sell for what they want to. Now, if this seller has to sell, let's say he bought this property, this is where the opportunity is. That's the problem, or what might be viewed as a problem, and here's the opportunity to the problem. So if that seller bought this house for $200,000 5 years ago, and he's got it listed for $450 right now, and he has to sell for whatever reason, maybe he just lost his job. There was a bunch of layoffs here in the economy recently, and it's likely not going to stop anytime soon. So maybe this guy lost his job. Maybe he has to pay for college for their son. Who knows? This guy's going through something. He needs to sell. He needs to get the cash out of this property. Maybe he had a variable interest rate and his interest rate just went from 3% all the way up to 8% and he can't afford the mortgage payment anymore. There could be many of these situations going on, but he bought it for $200,000 5 years ago. He's got it listed for $450. Had he listed it last year, he could have sold it for $550, but he waited too long. Now he's got it listed for $450. He needs to get some money out of here, stop paying the mortgage, and he needs to go use it for whatever it is. So when you come in and you offer, let's say, listed for $450, and you offer $320,000, $130,000 below list price, $230,000 below what it would have sold for last year. You come in, you offer $320,000, and he's got 0 other offers. It sat on the market for 30 days. He's getting scared. He's wondering, why is this house not selling? Why do we have 0 offers? He's telling his listing agent, you've had 3 open houses. You know, I've seen you post the ads on Facebook. Nobody wants to buy this house. Another reason is, say this is his neighborhood. His house is listed right here. Well, this house here, maybe they listed it at $420. This house here, they probably listed it at $375. This house here, it's listed at $410. This house here, it's listed at $399. So every buyer coming in to buy this guy's property or to view it, they have all these other options available, and they can pick and choose whatever house they like the best. They can negotiate better terms potentially. So this guy is freaking out. And that's when this offer here starts to look a little bit more attractive. He's still going to be making $120,000, which is not bad, to what, $24,000 a year in appreciation he's getting from what he bought it for 5 years ago. That's not bad. So he starts to think about things differently. Okay, prices aren't what they used to be. Everybody else in the neighborhood is selling the house cheaper than I am. You know, I have to get this thing sold. I can't make another mortgage payment. I don't want to keep, having my property sit here and listed on the market. So I think I'll take this guy's cash offer, $320,000. And I'll make my $120,000 and I'll go ahead and walk away from the situation. And there are a lot of sellers out there who are going through this exact scenario. In the last 30 days, I believe we've gotten 15 plus houses under contract, and some of those have already closed and sold to a cash buyer we have who operates a fund, and he's coming in just cleaning up the streets with these cheap prices. He's coming in, closing 12, 15 days, he's buying them cash at these low prices, and a lot of people are willing to sell these houses for way less than they bought them for, or way less than they think that they're worth. Not than they bought them for. Same thing with builders. Builders who are stuck with a tremendous amount of inventory, they are being forced to sell these homes for way less than they anticipated they were going to be able to. So some builders are even taking losses on these new builds. They are selling them for less than they actually put into the house to build it. So how can you capitalize on that, and how can you make money with that opportunity? Well, there's a few different ways. You can get these under contract and you can wholesale them. You can get it under contract, you can bring it to a cash buyer such as the one we're talking about, and you can say, hey, I got this deal, I'll sell it to you for, let's say you got that house under contract for the $320,000. That's still based on the scenario, that's still got a good amount of equity in it, still got a good amount of meat on the bone. And you tell this cash buyer that you will assign that contract to them for $30,000, and you will keep the difference between what you got it under contract for and what you sold it to this investor for, the $10,000. That's one way to capitalize on it. You need to be able to go out there and negotiate the deals on the front end, find the opportunities, and then on the back end, you need to be able to find the end buyer for these deals so that you can dispose of them and collect your wholesale fee. If you're licensed, if you're a licensed real estate agent, this is a dream for you. Go out there, find some people that you can represent, bring them these opportunities, and get paid your commission. Get paid your commission on bringing these opportunities to these buyers who are coming in and buying these properties. Just because retail buyers or people buying a home aren't buying as much as they were, it doesn't mean that investors aren't. So go find investors, go find these deals for them, and go make unlimited commissions, because there are a lot of deals on sale right now. If you want to flip properties, I'm not too excited about flipping properties at all right now, just because we don't know what prices are going to look like next month. We don't know what they're going to look like in February. We don't know what they're going to look like in March. At some point, as we are continuing to go down here, we're going to hit some sort of a bottom, and we're going to start to level out on these prices. They're not going to continue to go down for forever. They're not going to drop another 50%, and we're somewhere in here. I don't know if we're here yet. I don't know if we're right here. I don't know how much further we got, but as of now, it looks like it has not leveled out for a couple of months or started to make that trajectory upwards. But I really wouldn't start looking for flip deals until we have started that plateau, because at least at that point we have a base case to know the base market value for this property. We know that it's not going to go down further from there. If you buy it here and it keeps going down, then by the time you're finished with your flip, it may even be worth less than you paid for it in the beginning, and that's what you're trying to avoid. With the flips, you're looking to come in, know for sure what the market value is today and what the market value will be 2 months from now. Go way below that number, put money into the property, and then sell it at a number that you're projecting to be up here to collect the difference between what you bought it for, the money you put into it, the holding costs, closing costs on the sell side, and keep this difference. But in order to be able to do that effectively, you're going to have to know what the market value is going to be at that time when you expect to sell it. And that's very hard to do right now. So I would say hold off on flipping deals until you feel that we've hit this plateau so that you can accurately project what prices are going to look like. If you want to buy rental properties, again, same concept with the flip, except this plateau number is going to be important. You don't want to pay more for it now than it's going to be worth in 2 months. But like I said, at some point it's going to hit that bottom and it's going to start to level out. And use that as your base case for the market value that you're buying it at and what the market value will be a year from now. So find that plateau, but also what's going to be important for rentals, whether it is single family, a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, or if you're going into commercial multifamily, maybe buying an 8plex, a 20-unit apartment complex. One thing that's going to be really important is try and get good debt. I would, if possible, try and avoid buying rental properties with hard money loans right now, which is how we've been doing it the last few years, because hard money was dirt cheap. We're getting hard money loans at lower interest rates than conventional mortgages are at right now. We're paying interest-only hard money loans at 6.99%, 7.25%, and that's cheaper than you can go out and get on the open market right now. Hard money loans right now, 9.99%, 10.5%, 11.5%, 12% interest, and that's causing rental properties to lose all their cash flow. It's gone. So you want to look for cash flow. Find a property that will provide some cash flow. Try and get some good debt on it. You could buy these properties with, if you could go out and find some single family homes with good seller financing terms If you could go out and assume a mortgage at a 3% interest rate, get a good tenant in there, not have to put a lot of work into the property, buy it at a good price, and get some cash flow on top after management, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, realtor commissions, everything. If you can get some cash flow, buy it at a really good price at one of these discounted prices with some good debt in place, I say pull the trigger and take it. But cash flow is going to be important, because if we continue to go down, you don't want your property value to lose equity and at the same exact time be losing cash flow every month. We have had negative cash flow on properties over the last couple of years, but it hasn't been that big of a deal because they were appreciating so much. So for one single family home, if we lose $6,000 a year in cash flow, $500 a month after taxes, maintenance, management, everything, but we gained $100,000 worth of value in equity that year due to appreciation, then it wasn't that big of a deal. We were still netting $95,000. But now, while property values are decreasing, losing cash isn't that fun, as well as losing your equity in the house. So go out there, find some deals that you can wholesale. If you're a licensed realtor, go out, find some deals, represent some investors, and bring them to these deals, get paid your commissions. There's a lot of opportunity to do this. And you have to go out there, you have to hunt for the deals, find the deals, negotiate the deals, and play matchmaker, putting the investor and the deal together. But you can make a lot of money with the right buyers and good deals right now. Be careful flipping. Start looking for flips once we hit this plateau. And you feel confident that property values are not decreasing the way that they were. Start looking for flips then, but go in, buy low, try and find something that you can get in and out of, not have to put a lot of work into, maybe just some paint, maybe replace the blinds, maybe replace some flooring, but try and avoid big renovations that are going to take a long time. And buy it at the right price so that you can get in, get out, get it listed, and get it sold and make some money. And for rental properties, for a single family, 2 to 4 units, try and get some good debt, seller financing, assume some loans, and make sure that the property cash flows.